Again, the Israelites did evil in the eyes of the Lord, so the Lord gave them into the hands of the Philistines for 40 years. In the town of Zorah there lived a man named Manoah of the tribe of Dan. His wife was barren and had borne no children. One day the angel of the Lord appeared to her and said, "You are barren and have borne no children, but you shall conceive and bear a son. Now therefore be careful not to drink wine or strong drink, and eat nothing unclean. For behold, you shall conceive and bear a son. No razor shall come upon his head, for the boy shall be a Nazirite to God from the womb, and he shall begin to deliver Israel out of the hand of the Philistines." The woman ran to tell her husband, and Manoah prayed to God, asking that the man of God return and teach them what to do with the child. God listened. The angel came again. Manoah said, "When your words come true, what shall be the rule for the boy's life and his work?" The angel of the Lord answered, "Let the woman pay attention to all that I said. She may not eat anything that comes from the vine, nor drink wine or strong drink, nor eat anything unclean. All that I commanded her she must observe." Manoah offered a sacrifice to the Lord. As the flame rose from the altar, the angel ascended in the flame and disappeared. Manoah and his wife fell to their faces. The woman bore a son and called his name Samson. The child grew, and the Lord blessed him. And the Spirit of the Lord began to move him at Mahaneh-dan between Zorah and Eshtaol. Samson went down to Timnah, and there he saw a Philistine woman. He returned and said to his parents, "I have seen a woman in Timnah of the daughters of the Philistines. Now get her for me as a wife." His father and mother said, "Is there not a woman among our people that you must go to take a wife from the uncircumcised Philistines?" But Samson said, "Get her for me, for she is right in my eyes." This was from the Lord, for he was seeking an occasion against the Philistines. As Samson went with his parents to Timnah, a young lion came roaring toward him. And the Spirit of the Lord rushed upon him, and though he had nothing in his hand, he tore the lion in pieces as one tears a young goat. Some days later, he returned to marry the woman and turned aside to see the lion's carcass. And behold, there was a swarm of bees and honey inside it. He took some honey and ate as he went. He gave some to his parents, but did not tell them it came from the carcass. At the wedding feast, Samson said to the Philistine men, "Let me now put a riddle to you. If you can tell me the answer within the 7 days of the feast, I will give you 30 linen garments and 30 changes of clothes. But if you cannot tell me, then you shall give me 30 linen garments and 30 changes of clothes." They said, "Tell us your riddle." And he said, "Out of the eater came something to eat. Out of the strong came something sweet." For 3 days they could not solve the riddle. On the 4th day they said to Samson's wife, "Entice your husband to tell us the riddle, or we will burn you and your father's house with fire." She wept before Samson and said, "You only hate me. You don't love me. You have given a riddle to my people and have not told me the answer." He said, "I have not even told my father or mother. Why should I tell you?" She wept before him the 7 days of the feast, and on the 7th day he told her, because she pressed him hard. Then she told the riddle to her people. Before sunset on the 7th day the men said to him, "What is sweeter than honey? What is stronger than a lion?" And he said to them, "If you had not plowed with my heifer, you would not have solved my riddle." Then the Spirit of the Lord rushed upon him, and he went down to Ashkelon, struck down 30 men, took their garments, and gave them to those who had explained the riddle. In anger, he returned to his father's house, and his wife was given to one of his companions. Later, during the wheat harvest, Samson went to visit his wife with a young goat. But her father said, I thought you utterly hated her, so I gave her to your companion. Her younger sister is more beautiful. Take her instead." Samson said, "This time I shall be blameless in doing the Philistines harm." So he caught 300 foxes, tied torches between their tails, lit them, and released them into the Philistines' grain fields, vineyards, and olive groves, setting them all ablaze. The Philistines said, "Who did this?" They were told, "Samson, the son-in-law of the Timnite, because his wife was given to his companion." So the Philistines came up and burned her and her father with fire. Samson said, "If this is how you act, I swear I will not stop until I have my revenge." And he struck them hip and thigh with great slaughter. Then he went and stayed in the cleft of the rock of Etam. The Philistines went to Judah and camped. The men of Judah said, "Why have you come against us?" They answered, "We have come to bind Samson." 3,000 men of Judah went to Samson and said, "Don't you know the Philistines rule over us? What have you done?" He said, "As they did to me, so I have done to them." They said, "We have come to bind you and deliver you." He said, "Swear to me you will not kill me yourselves." They bound him with 2 new ropes and brought him up. But when he came to Lehi, the Philistines shouted. Then the Spirit of the Lord rushed upon him, and the ropes became like flax burned with fire. He found the fresh jawbone of a donkey, reached out, took it, and struck down 1,000 men. Samson said, "With a donkey's jawbone I have made heaps upon heaps. With a donkey's jawbone I have struck down 1,000 men." When he finished speaking, he threw the jawbone away. And that place was called Ramath Lehi. Samson judged Israel for 20 years in the days of the Philistines. Sometime later, he fell in love with a woman in the valley of Sorek, whose name was Delilah. The lords of the Philistines came to her and said, "Entice him, and find out what makes his strength so great and how we can overpower him. We will each give you 1,100 pieces of silver." So Delilah said to Samson, "Please tell me where your great strength lies and how you could be bound to be subdued." Samson said, "If they bind me with 7 fresh bowstrings that have not been dried, I shall become weak like any other man." She hid men in the room, bound him, and said, "The Philistines are upon you, Samson." But he snapped the bowstrings like threads touched by fire. Again she said, "You have mocked me and told me lies. Now tell me how you may be bound." He said, "If they bind me with new ropes that have never been used, I shall become weak." She bound him, cried out again, but he snapped the ropes like a thread. She said, "How can you say, 'I love you,' when your heart is not with me?" Day after day she pressed him, and his soul was vexed to death. He finally told her all his heart, "No razor has ever come upon my head, for I have been a Nazirite to God from my mother's womb. If my head is shaved, my strength will leave me, and I will become weak." Delilah saw that he had told her all his heart. She sent for the Philistine lords. Then she made him sleep on her knees, called a man to shave off the 7 locks of his head. His strength left him. She said, "The Philistines are upon you, Samson." He awoke and said, "I will go out as before and shake myself free." But he did not know that the Lord had departed from him. The Philistines seized him, gouged out his eyes, and brought him down to Gaza. They bound him with bronze shackles, and he ground grain in prison. But the hair of his head began to grow again. The lords of the Philistines gathered for a great feast to Dagon. They said, "Bring out Samson to entertain us." They stood him between the pillars. Samson said to the boy who held him, "Let me feel the pillars on which the house rests." Samson prayed, "O Lord God, remember me, I pray. Strengthen me just once more, that I may take vengeance on the Philistines for my 2 eyes." He pushed against the pillars with all his might, saying, "Let me die with the Philistines." The temple fell on the lords and all the people. Those he killed in his death were more than those he killed in his life. Then his brothers and his father's household came and took him, and buried him between Zorah and Eshtaol in the tomb of Manoah his father. He had judged Israel 20 years,